5 rules for saying no. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The power of no can change your life. No is not just a word, it's a shield, a guide, and sometimes even a blessing. So let's get into the 5 rules for saying no with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Rule 1, respect your time. It's the one thing we all have, but no one can get back. Every second, every minute, and every hour is a gift, and how you use it shapes your life. Too often, people feel obligated to say yes to every request, invitation, or opportunity, thinking they'll let someone down if they don't. But here's the truth. When you give your time away to things that don't serve your purpose, you're the one who loses. Respecting your time means recognizing its value. Think about it. Would you hand over your hard-earned money to someone who doesn't appreciate it? Of course not. Your time is just as precious, if not more. It's easy to fill up your calendar with commitments, but before you agree to something, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, does this align with my goals? Will this move me closer to the life I want to build? If the answer is no, you already know what to say. Saying no is not a rejection of people. It's an affirmation of your priorities. Every yes you give to something unnecessary is a no to something meaningful, like your family, your dreams, your well-being. Imagine this: you spend hours at an event you didn't want to attend, all because you couldn't say no. Meanwhile, the time you could have spent working on your passion project or just resting and recharging slips away. Gone forever. Let's be clear, your time is not infinite. Each moment is an opportunity to invest in what truly matters. That's why you must guard it fiercely. When you respect your time, you teach others to respect it too. People start to understand that you're not someone who can be pulled in every direction. You're focused, intentional, and committed to living your life on your own terms. Now, some might say, but isn't it selfish to put my time first? Let me tell you, it's not selfish, it's wise. You can't pour into others if your own cup is empty. By respecting your time, you're setting yourself up to be the best version of you, and that benefits everyone around you. But how do you start? It begins with learning to pause before you commit. Don't answer on the spot. Take a moment, consider your schedule, and think about the bigger picture. If it doesn't fit, decline politely but firmly. I'd love to help, but I can't right now. Thanks for thinking of me, but I'll have to pass. Short, sweet, and to the point. Respecting your time also means creating boundaries. Set aside time for what matters most, and don't let anyone intrude on it. Have a daily routine, stick to it. Working on a personal project, protect that time like it's sacred. At the end of the day, your time is your most valuable asset. Spend it wisely, invest it in what matters, and don't be afraid to say no when something threatens to waste it. Because when you respect your time, you respect yourself, and that's the foundation for a life of purpose and fulfillment. Rule 2, be firm but kind. Saying no is an art. It's not just about the words you say, it's about how you say them. You can stand your ground without being cold, and you can decline without damaging relationships. The key is to be firm but kind. Let me break it down for you. When someone approaches you with a request, your first instinct might be to agree even if it's inconvenient. We're wired to seek harmony, to avoid conflict, but constantly saying yes at the expense of your own needs leads to burnout and frustration. That's why it's essential to learn the balance, protecting your boundaries while maintaining respect for the other person. Being firm means you don't waver, make your position clear, and you stick to it. But firmness doesn't have to come across as harsh or dismissive. You can communicate your no with empathy and understanding. For example, instead of bluntly saying, I can't do that, you might say, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm unable to commit right now. This approach acknowledges the other person's request while setting your boundary. Why is kindness so important? Because the way you deliver your message can either strengthen or weaken your relationships. People remember how you made them feel. A firm but considerate no shows that you respect their request, even if you can't fulfill it. It keeps the door open for future opportunities without compromising your own priorities. Let's explore a scenario. Imagine a friend asks you to help them move on your only day off. You've been looking forward to this time to recharge. Instead of reluctantly saying yes and resenting it later, you can respond like this: thanks for asking. I know moving can be stressful. I'd love to help, but I've got a packed schedule that day. Let me know if there's another way I can support you. In this response, you're clear about your limits, but you also offer a gesture of goodwill. You're saying no to the specific request while showing that you care. Being firm but kind also applies in professional settings. Let's say your boss piles on extra work when your plate is already full. You might feel pressure to say yes out of fear of looking incapable, but this is the perfect moment to practice assertiveness with respect. Try this: "I'd be happy to help with this project, but my current workload is already at capacity. If we discuss priorities or possibly extend the deadline." This approach communicates your willingness to contribute without sacrificing the quality of your work or your peace of mind. Now let's talk about the tone of your delivery. Body language, facial expressions, and vocal tone all play a role. A calm, steady voice conveys confidence, while a friendly smile softens the message. Even when saying no, your demeanor can show that you value the person and their request. Some people might still push back after you've said no. They might try to persuade you or guilt trip you. Stay calm and repeat your position if necessary. You don't owe long explanations or apologies. A simple "I really can't this time, but thank you for understanding" is enough. The beauty of being firm but kind is that it builds mutual respect. People start to understand that your no doesn't come from a place of rejection, it comes from a place of honesty and self-respect. It shows that you value both yourself and them enough to communicate openly and truthfully. In the end, saying no with firmness and kindness is a skill that will serve you in every area of life. It helps you maintain your boundaries, protect your energy, and foster healthy relationships. So, the next time you face a situation where you need to decline, remember, be clear, be kind, and hold your ground. You'll find that people respect you more for it, and you'll respect yourself too. Rule 3, know your priorities. Let's get real. Life will constantly pull you in 100 directions. Everyone wants your time, your energy, your attention. If you don't know your priorities, you'll find yourself saying yes to everything, and that's a recipe for exhaustion, frustration, and a lack of progress toward your goals. Saying no becomes a whole lot easier when you're clear about what truly matters to you. Knowing your priorities means understanding what drives you, what fulfills you, and what helps you grow. It's about identifying your core values and aligning your actions with them. What are the non-negotiable in your life? Your family, your health, your career, your spiritual growth. Take some time to reflect on these. Write them down if you have to. When you're crystal clear about your priorities, they become your compass, guiding your decisions. Here's the thing, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. It's not always obvious in the moment, but the cost of a misplaced yes can be significant. For example, agreeing to take on extra work when you're already stretched thin might mean sacrificing time with your loved ones or missing out on much-needed rest. Over time, these little sacrifices add up, and you may find yourself disconnected from the things that truly matter. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you're working toward a major goal, like starting your own business or advancing in your career. That's a priority, right? Now a friend invites you to a weekend getaway. It sounds fun, and you don't want to disappoint them, but you know what should be done was supposed to be dedicated to finalizing your business plan. What do? If you know your priorities, the answer is clear. You can politely decline, saying something like, "I'd love to join, but I've got some important work to finish this weekend. Let's plan something another time." Here's where it gets tricky. Some people will push back. They might question your decision or try to guilt you into changing your mind. This is where clarity about your priorities gives you strength. When you're confident about your path, other people's opinions hold less weight. You're not just saying no to them, you're saying yes to yourself and your vision. Knowing your priorities also helps you filter out distractions. In today's world, distractions are everywhere: emails, social media, endless invitations to events and commitments. Without clear priorities, it's easy to get sidetracked, but when you have a strong sense of purpose, it's like having blinders on a racehorse. You stay focused, cutting through the noise and staying on track. Now, let's talk about balance. Priorities don't mean you can never have fun or be spontaneous. Life is about enjoying the journey too, but balance comes from being intentional with your time. If your top priority is your health, for instance, then you'll make sure to schedule workouts and prepare healthy meals, even if it means skipping a late night outing. If your family is your priority, you'll carve out time for them, even if it means declining a work event that doesn't align with your career goals. One of the greatest benefits of knowing your priorities is that it brings you peace of mind. You stop second-guessing yourself or feeling guilty. about saying no. You're confident that every decision you make serves a greater purpose. That kind of clarity is empowering. In the end, life is short and your energy is limited. You can't do everything, but you can do the things that matter most. So take the time to identify your priorities, hold them close, and let them. Rule 4, don't fear disapproval. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to say no is fear of disappointing others, fear of being judged, or fear of losing approval. Let's be real, no one likes to feel rejected or misunderstood. But here's the hard truth, you can't live your life trying to make everyone happy. If you're constantly chasing other people's approval, you'll lose sight of your own values, needs, and goals. To truly own your no, you have to let go of the fear of disapproval. First, let's break down why this fear exists. As human beings, we're wired to seek connection and belonging. From an early age, we're taught to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, and to prioritize others' feelings. While there's nothing wrong with kindness and empathy, it becomes a problem when it comes at the expense of your well-being or personal growth. The fear of disapproval often stems from a desire to be liked, to avoid confrontation, or to maintain relationships. But ask yourself this, what's the cost of always saying yes just to keep the peace? Think about the times you've said yes when you really wanted to say no. Maybe you agreed to take on extra work when you were already overwhelmed. Maybe you attended an event you weren't interested in because you didn't want to lay someone down. How did you feel afterward? Chances are you felt drained, frustrated, or even resentful. That's the price of living for other people's approval. Here's the truth, no matter what you do, not everyone will approve of your choices, and that's okay. You're not here to live up to everyone else's expectations. You're here to live your own life, to pursue your own goals, and to honor your own needs. People who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, even if they don't always like them. And those who don't, their opinions don't define your worth. So how do you overcome the fear of disapproval? Start by reframing your mindset. Saying no is not an act of rejection, it's an act of self-respect. You're not being selfish or difficult, you're being honest about your limits and priorities. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. By protecting your time and energy, you're better able to show up fully for the people and projects that matter most. When you say no, be prepared for some pushback. Some people may not take it well, especially if they're used to you always saying yes. That's their issue, not yours. Stay calm and firm in your response. You don't need to over-explain or apologize excessively. A simple, I appreciate you asking, but I can't commit to that right now is enough. It's also important to recognize that people's reactions often have more to do with them than with you. If someone feels disappointed or upset, it's not your responsibility to fix their feelings. You can empathize without promising your boundaries. For example, I understand this might be disappointing and I wish I could help, but I have to prioritize my current responsibilities. This shows care without sacrificing your needs. Over time, as you practice saying no without fear, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel more confident, more in control, and more aligned with your true self. You'll also attract people who respect and support your boundaries, which leads to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. In the end, living authentically means making choices that align with your values, even if those choices don't always please everyone. The people who genuinely care about you will understand, and those who don't, let them go. Don't let the fear of disapproval hold you back from living the life you deserve. Stand tall, own your no, and trust that the right people and opportunities will remain. Rule 5, practice self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of everything you do. It shapes how you view yourself, how you allow others to treat you, and ultimately how you navigate through life. Practicing self-respect means honoring your needs, boundaries, and values, and one of the most powerful ways to do that is by learning to say no. Saying no is not about rejecting others, it's about affirming yourself. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and well-being are just as important as anyone else's. When you constantly say yes to things that don't align with your priorities or that drain your energy, you're telling yourself and the world that your needs don't matter. But when you practice self-respect, you flip that script. You remind yourself and others that you are worthy of boundaries and balance. Let's start with the idea of boundaries. Boundaries are your personal rules for how you will and won't be treated, and they're essential for maintaining self-respect. Without boundaries, people may unknowingly or knowingly take advantage of your time, energy, or kindness. Practicing self-respect means setting clear boundaries and enforcing them consistently. For instance, If you've decided to dedicate your evenings to family or self-care, don't let work emails or last-minute requests invade that sacred time. You might say, I'll get to that first thing in the morning, but tonight is already booked. Here's the beauty of self-respect. It teaches people how to treat you. When you consistently honor your own boundaries, others start to recognize and respect them as well. But it all starts with you. If you don't respect your own limits, why should anyone else? Now, let's talk about energy. Your energy is finite, and it's one of your most valuable resources. Practice self-respect means being selective about where and how you invest your energy. If you're constantly giving to others without replenishing yourself, you'll eventually burn out. It's not selfish to prioritize your energy, it's necessary. Imagine a phone running on 1% battery. Can it perform at its best? Of course not. You need to recharge, and saying no is one way to protect that energy. For example, if a colleague asks you to help with a project that's outside your responsibilities, you might respectfully decline. I'd love to help, but my current workload won't allow me to give this the attention it deserves. Maybe someone else on the team can assist. This shows respect for both your own limits and the importance of the task. Another aspect of self-respect is standing by your values. When you practice self-respect, you make decisions that align with your core beliefs and long-term goals. You don't compromise your principles just to please others or avoid conflict. If someone asks you to do something that goes against your values, saying no is a way of standing in your truth. For instance, if you're committed to maintaining a healthy lifestyle, you might decline a late-night outing that disrupts your routine. Thanks for the invite, but I'm prioritizing my health and need to stick to my schedule. Practicing self-respect also means letting go of guilt. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you a person who values their own well-being. Guilt often comes from a fear of disappointing others, but remember, you're not responsible for managing their emotions. Your primary responsibility is to take care of yourself so you can show up as your best self for the people and projects that really matter. Lastly, self-respect fosters confidence. The more you practice saying no and setting boundaries, the more you'll realize your worth. You'll stop seeking validation from others and start finding it within yourself. This confidence will radiate into every aspect of your life, from your relationships to your career. In conclusion, self-respect is not just about saying no, it's about saying yes to yourself. It's about valuing your time, energy, and values enough to protect them fiercely. When you practice self-respect, you create a life that reflects your worth and aligns with your true self. So honor your boundaries, protect your energy, and stand by your values, because self-respect is the ultimate form of self-love. In the end, saying no isn't about rejection, it's about protection. It's about protecting your time, your energy, your priorities, and most importantly, your self-respect. When you learn to say no with confidence and purpose, you're not closing doors, you're opening the right ones. You're making space for what truly matters, for what aligns with your goals and values. So remember these 5 rules: respect your time, be firm but kind, know your priorities, don't fear disapproval, and practice self-respect. When you master these, you'll find that no isn't a word of limitation, it's a word of liberation. Stand tall, speak your truth, and live life on your terms. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can truly honor your worth and protect your dreams is you. Say no boldly and say yes to a life that reflects your purpose and passion. That's where true freedom lies.